Should you pull for Lyney? Short answer, it depends on you. Long answer, this entire video. Lyney was one of the first Fontaine characters that we were introduced to, officially, playable wise, and he is a Pyro DPS. He is literally one of the strongest Pyro DPSs in the game right now if you can get him right, if you can get the set right, if you can get his weapon, and if you can get the team right. Lyney excels in Mono-Pyro teams. His passive, while restrictive, enhances him. So his passive is when he has 2 or 3 Pyro characters in the party, he increases his own damage by 20%. So it can go up to I think 80% or so. And it's amazing. The amount of damage that Lyney can deal out is almost equal to the amount of damage Mualani can deal out. And both of them are favored in the speedrunning community in dealing high amounts of damage. But for the general player, I would recommend that, they're not worth it for the general player. For people who have trouble controlling the characters, for people who want to just use skills and do AFK gaming, or who have, difficulty in controlling the controller or the mouse and keyboard on phone or things like that. He is a very clunky character, similar to Mualani. Mualani, you have to control her to get the stacks and then attack. Lyney is a different sort of clunkiness. He comes with the charged attack problem. And it's not like Tighnari. Tighnari is a really good character who focuses on charge attacks because his charge attacks shoots out arrows and charges up really quickly, and it's just, it's almost close to AFK. You just have to click the charge attack key one time and he just charges it and just throws, and it's very easy to play Tighnari. But with Lyney, the clunkiness comes from the fact that his charged arrow can miss, and if that's a miss, he will lose a ton of damage. And that, I'm not talking about 2k or 3k damage that most players do. It's like 10k 20k damage that he's gonna lose because he is solely focused on charged attacks. Apart from that, when he does charge attacks, talking about his kit, since he's a nuker and he's focused on charge attacks, when his charge attack hits, it deals a good amount of damage, and it spawns a Grimalkin hat, a funny hat basically, which has a taunt ability, which is very useful for challenges which require protect the monolith style in Imaginarium Theater or in Spiral Abyss. The hat doesn't last for very long because you have to use your skill to deal more damage. Otherwise the hat would explode and track the opponent, which is all good. It's kind of like Tighnari but Pyro. Very easy to understand kit. You just do your charge attacks. He takes a portion of his HP, kind of like Hu Tao, and forms a Grimalkin hat, and he gets stacks, and those stacks increase his skill damage. So basically he can go up to 5 stacks, and at most, if you're playing with Lyney without a healer, you're gonna get maximum of 2 stacks unless you get some additional healing from somewhere. 2 stacks is where Lyney would get capped, and the main buff comes from his 4 stacks to 5 stacks. So you absolutely need a healer in the team for Lyney to work well. Let's go on to the burst part. His burst is very basic, honestly. I've been playing Lyney for the past 1 year or so. I have Lyney, and I still don't know what his burst does, apart from the fact that it gives him extra stacks. Obviously it gives him 2 stacks, I think, and he becomes a Grimalkin hat, and he tracks opponents, and every opponent that he strikes once only, he deals pyro damage, and then he explodes, dealing AoE pyro damage and something like that. The main damage comes from his charge attacks, from the Grimalkin hat that he generates, and his skill. That's where Lyney's focus lies. He can deal a ton of damage. You can pair him up with Farina to get Farina's fanfare points and thus buffing Lyney. You can pair him up with Baiju, Nahida to get the burning aura going, and keep an Emily in the team as well. So you can have Emily, Baiju, Lyney, and then some other pyro character, so that you're getting both the Dendro and the pyro buffs. Lyney will shine in teams which have 3 pyro, which is the major problem for majority of the players, because getting 3 pyro, we barely have any good pyro characters in the game. All the good pyro characters are, either limited or Xiangling or Bennett. And it just, it's kind of tough to play around, especially when you don't have a shielder, because Lyney will get interrupted very quickly since he is bow based. Since he has a bow and he relies on charge attacks, you need a good amount of space and a good amount of openness, like no enemies around you to actually deal damage. Otherwise, one hit and Lyney's charge attack goes poof. So you would need Zhongli or Dia or any good shielder, which is another problem for Lyney. Like he isn't very flexible. He requires good supports to work. Zhongli being his best option. So it's just difficult. Like whereas Hu Tao gains interruption resistance, right? When she is in her Pamplia, Palpalito, or whatever state, or Raiden Shogun does a burst and she's in she has interruption resistance. Lyney is like Nivelette at C0, I think everywhere. If he gets one hit while he's doing his charge attack, he's gone. That attack is gone. Like you can look at a good solid 30-40k damage loss. So that's a major problem with Lyney. Other parts, flexibility wise, like I said, Mono-Pyro, he sticks with Mono-Pyro because that's where majority of his damage comes. But you can use him in Overload with Chevreuse, you can use him in Burning, you can use him in Vaporize, Farina as an option, Nahida as an option. And then with the Shilonen buff that we have, with Shilonen being released, Shilonen decreases the elemental resistance, thus increasing Lyney's nuclear capabilities, like nuking capabilities. So all in all, it depends on you whether you want this magician on your team or not. Personally, I wouldn't recommend pulling for Lyney right now because we are getting closer to the Pyro Archon. Maoika is coming out, and like all the other Archons except Venti, but Maoika is probably going to be the best Pyro character in the game. And looking by the crumbs of leaks that we have of Maoika, I assume that she's going to have some sort of fan Night Soul point status on even characters that don't have Night Soul points. So she's gonna buff literally everyone. She's gonna probably be like Farina, but even much better for Pyro. So I would recommend right now to don't pull for Lyney right now. And it's just his second rerun, and looking by the stats of Hoyo versus reruns, Lyney's probably going to get his third rerun before Risley, so obviously safe for Maoika right now. Lyney, while good with the nuking stuff, with the parties and all, even his weapon, the weapon problem is that Lyney's best weapons are either battle pass weapons or locked behind the gacha, and his best F2P weapon is a craftable Fontanian weapon, which works, which is good. But still, it's like compared to the other weapons, it's a huge damage down. And the other problem with Lyney is that his scalings are like you have to manage the HP and the attack, because if you get high HP but low attack, you get more stacks of the the skill damage stuff, but then you don't get enough skill damage. And if you get low HP and high attack, then you have more damage on the skill but less stacks to generate, because I think whenever you do a charge attack, Lyney takes 30% of his HP off or something. So overall, it's just it's just not it right now. With Lyney's state, I would definitely recommend just save your pulls. If you want a strong DPS, Nivelette is in this patch. If you guys are seeing this for the 5.2 version, if you're seeing it in the future and a Lyney banner is on, go pull for him. Lyney is amazing as a character and he is very strong. The only problem is that you need to learn how to play with him and you need to have a shielder. That's it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Go pull Lyney if you want to. I recommend it because he is strong, not Arlecchino strong, but strong. And if you have Zhongli, he would be amazing because you can play him easily then. But otherwise, he is a good addition to your team, and in the end, it depends on you. He's not a must pull, but if you like him, definitely go for him. That's where I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Goodbye.